Welcome to In the Moment with Kortia, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. On this halfway there Wednesday, I want to just give a good morning and shout out to Central Louisiana and all the surrounding areas. Natchitoches, Gina, Alexandria at 88.1 FM. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood on 92.5 FM. St. Joseph, Natchitoches, Mississippi on 99.3 FM, and Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. And you can call into the radio station with your questions or comments at the local number, 318-484-2500 or 877-464-2500. And on this halfway there Wednesday, hey, you've made it to the halfway point on the week. I know you've got some excited, some motivation. You're like, okay, now it's time to shift. Now it's time to really get into fast mode. And we're going to definitely help you identify that on today as we're going to be talking about, identifying your season. A lot of people, and, myself included, we get to a certain point in time, we start having things to happen in our lives, and we're like, man, what's going on? And, that could be sometimes in a good way, and sometimes we can see it in a bad way. But what is it that helps you identify when you are going into, a new season? What actually are really, some of the indicators that let you know that your life is actually about to change? Now, some people, like I said, they just get tossed to and fro, like a ship in a storm. But look, sometimes we can have things that are going on in our lives that are just pretty much blatant, that just let us know that, that situation or that season that we were in previously is over, and now it's time for this new season to start. And some indicators that are actually going to help you that let you know about these major life events, okay? Those are things that actually help you know about different seasons or different shiftings in your life, or when it's time to change, when it's time to shift gears, when it's time to go into the newness of, what God has in store for you. And I mean, some of these we just kind of take for granted, but it actually, your life totally changes when some of these actually happen. And I mean, just think about it. When you graduate from school, okay, when a kid graduates from, I don't even know if they still do this. I know when I was in school a long time ago, you got out of fifth grade, you had this little ceremony, and then, of course, it didn't happen when you got to junior high, but then, one of the major milestones in most people's lives are when they graduate from high school. Well, what ends up happening? I remember one of the main things that I remember about high school is that when that graduation time came, I remember people in my family, the adults of my family actually said, okay, now it's time for you to find out what the real world is about, really time to step out. And, literally, I chose to actually wait a year before going to college, and then, had a full-time job afterwards. And, really I found out what it was to really get into working and, saving up money and having things together as far as like going for college. Now, did I have jobs while I was going through high school? Well, yes, I did. But, when that was the total focus to pretty much be a catalyst to help me get into college, to pay for my college, it gave me an entirely new perspective. So what happened? It was a shift that happened. It was me identifying this new season that I was going on. And then, of course, going into the realm of marriage. Now, anyone listening to me right now, you're married, I'm sure you can probably put your hand in the air and say, well, everything is pretty. You can't just say everything just stayed the same in my life. Nothing changed when I got married. Well, I'm going to tell you pretty much everything changed, because you had to stop looking at your entire, self outlook or what was best for yourself when you were a single person. And then you had to include what was going to benefit you and your spouse. You had to get together, get under a common type of mindset, sharing of resources, finances, deciding, what you're going to keep, what you're going to give away, exactly how you're going to come together if you got blended families, how you're going to decide on holidays you're going to go to his house or her house, whatever the situation may be. But, these certain major life events, and definitely when you talk about marriage, when you have the first birth of your first child, that in itself gives a major shift. Just like when my first child came, it's a lot of times you see on television, you see, different movies, and you see that when the birth of a child comes, right, the child is always wanting to be connected to the mom, okay? The mom is nurturing and stuff. Well, guess what, folks? It didn't happen that way for me. I remember with my first child, my child wouldn't go to sleep unless I was like the bed, okay? So my child actually, was right there with me. and, was just there. And, unless daddy was the mattress in the bed, the child wouldn't go to sleep. But, it caused shiftings as far as like, I actually had to coordinate a lot of things in my life as far as like, sleeping with my child in the beginning and then, going to work. And then, it transitioned to where, my child was gone and was with my wife. But it's a lot of different things that you have to move. It seems like it's, how I say that, you have to take life like a chess game. Think 5 moves ahead each and every time. Well, sometimes your chess game kind of goes and it turns into a battle of like Chinese checkers, okay? If you've ever played that, to where you're just moving the little pieces all over and just hoping you can get to where you want to get. But, that's what a major life event can do. And, those major life events actually show you, it can actually, if you look at them the right way, have the right perspective, it can be something that can actually start to carry you towards, what God has in store for you in your new season. And we look at different shiftings or different things that happen to identify a new season. And a lot of us, we really put up resistance to new things that come into our lives because why? We've pretty much getting into this realm of what our normal is or what our normal should be. Okay. And what do I mean by that? So many of us, we get up each and every day, okay, and we've got this routine, okay, that we go into. And it's like if something just alternates that routine in the slightest, it seems like we allow it to just knock our entire day out of whack. It's just like, oh, my Lord, I just feel like I didn't get anything accomplished today. I don't even know what happened, what started. It's just like, all these different things. But, sometimes because of, adverse things that may happen even with our kids, that may be in school. Something may happen with them as far as like in school. But then what? It's not something that's directly affecting you, but, indirectly, it can still be something that was totally knock your routine out of whack. But, even when we look at that and say, wow, we've got this little pressure coming here, we've got this hang up that's coming here, or, maybe this little circumstance, however you want to verbalize it. It's a matter of how we actually react to these different things that's going to determine the season that we're in. And, we need to identify, one of the biggest things that we need to identify when going into a new season, especially in a major life event, it's how to actually use those different changes to actually benefit us right where we are, okay? Instead of seeing it as, a roadblock to actually stop us from actually going into the fullness of that new season. Now, we say each and every time, you've heard over these airwaves, over these broadcasts about, different things that happen to get you to go into, what God's called you to do, whether it's, going back to school, whether it's taking a promotion or whatever at work, whether it's doing online training, whether it's actually connecting yourself with a fitness coach, whatever it is, okay? We need to identify what's necessary in our new season and not take everything that comes at us as something that's trying to actually, stop us from getting to what God has in store for us. And routines, okay, the main thing we need to realize in this new season when it comes to your routines, you need to realize that, hey, it's time to actually, in some cases, get rid of the routine. Because a lot of us, we base our lives, like I said, so much on a routine. And when our routine doesn't line up each and every day, we get all this undue frustration, all this undue stress. We kind of vent out or whatever, in what different ways at people. But we see how it's actually something that's going to stagnate us and stop us from actually getting forward. I mean, like I said, you can look at what other people are doing in their lives, and you can actually take little pieces of what's going on to actually help you get to where you need to be in your life. But what? You have to determine what you're going to do in these major life transitions to actually help you identify what season that you're in. A season can be a short process or it can be a long process, but it's only going to be a blissful process based upon your outlook. That's letting you know exactly right now where you're at in your moment. It's letting you know exactly where God is taking you, and it's letting you know that what? You don't have to actually be someone that's bored to where you just throw something against it to actually cause it to stick. You can actually be that one, like I continually say, to be that positive agent of change. So where are you at right now in identifying your new season, and are you allowing God to take you to where you need to be in your moment? Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan on this Halfway There Wednesday. Call in with your questions or comments to the radio station at 318 484-2500, local number, toll free, 877-464-2500. And family, we're talking about identifying your season. Now, I know that the word in so many different ministries, so many different households, and there's this like air of change that's just out there. And, I've seen over so many different broadcasts about, this is like a harvest season, the abundant harvest season. There's so many different realms out there, miracles, signs, wonders, all of these different things from different words that have come out and words that have been given personally to so many of us individually. But what is it that's happened that's causing you to identify your season? Okay, what is it that lets you know right now that this is your time? Call in and let us find out about that. What is it that's actually helping you to identify that this is your time to reap from all of the work that you've done, not just in weeks, but I'm talking months and years prior to right now? What's actually causing that? And what's actually letting you know, what's the indicators that's actually saying, hey, this has to be my season, all right, just because of, XYZ is actually happening in my life. Now, did you actually realize that if you have, well, how can I put it, like a feeling of imbalance or lack of motivation or maybe some low energy, that can actually be, an indicator of, a new season needs to happen, or you may be in a new season in your life. And what do I mean by that? How many of you have ever been in a situation, maybe you're there right now, so this may be catching you right where you are in your moment, okay? That, you may be as far as like maybe in your business, place of employment, or doing something, okay? And it's just that you just feel like, well, I just have this feeling that there's more to it. That's just something that I'm missing. That's just something that I'm overlooking. I just know that there's more that needs to happen right where I'm at right now. And you just feel like, I just really can't put my finger on it. There's just something I'm missing, that like next step, that next thing that's going to get me over the hump. And it's just like, right there. I kind of use the analogy like almost like, how you've seen like possibly some old movies or heard people say it's like that thing about a horse, okay? And they've got that apple, that carrot that's right in front of them. And it seems like right when they're about to bite it and, it just moves right out of their range of being able to grab hold of. And it just seems like that so many times, with a lot of us. And, like I said, it seems like that with me a lot of times, that it seems like right when I'm just about to grab it, it's like it just moves right out of my grasp. And in doing that, it's actually an indicator of you are in a season of transition, a season to move forward, a season to actually get you to go ahead. Well, you might say, well, why is it that it seems like it just keeps moving forward, like it's just right out of your grasp? Well, have you ever thought that for whatever reason, that may be to actually get you out of that comfort level, that comfort zone of where you were previously, to get you out of that past season, okay, to get you to move forward? Remember, and I'm going to keep saying, how, when God blesses you in a certain season, okay, in a certain place where you're at, all right, and God blesses you in that certain season, and he's going to want you to enjoy that certain season. He's going to want you to just magnify him in that certain season. But the main thing you need to remember is you don't stay in that particular season, okay? You don't just say, hey, I made it to this blessing and look, I'm good for the rest of my life. No. Well, God, like I continually say, is perpetual, and he moves on to the next blessing, the next season that's supposed to happen in your life. And then once you've enjoyed that season for that brief moment, then God's waiting for you to go further into the new season that he has in store for you. And a lot of you might say, well, why is that? Well, very simple. If you have received what God has for you in one season, okay, and you're utilizing it and you're being a blessing unto others, you're making an impact in the community, you're being a positive agent of change, you're causing change, in your family, okay, your extended family, your immediate family, you've actually started having a change to go on the inside of yourself, and you've been doing everything he's called you to do. Well, guess what? What a lot of people don't realize is that when we do what God's called us to do in that certain season where he wants to take us to greater each and every time. And you might say, well, why is that? Well, the more you do for him, the more he wants to be a blessing unto you to do even greater for him, all right? He's not going to just take you on this continual cycle of a straight line, just going across from like blessing to blessing. You know, I've said before that some of us that God, he takes us up on a stair step when it goes to progression. And it depends on how we can actually receive. And well, our area of being able to receive for him, what a lot of people really don't like to hear, depends upon how, you know, we're able to allow him to do different changes in our lives. But there's some of us to where we're so open, okay? We're so open to just that out of the box, you know, realm of how God does things to where, okay, Lord, all I need to do is trust in you. I've got faith in you. Whatever my little small portion is, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to depend on you just for the results of it. I'm just going to depend on you for the full manifestation of what you need to have done. And then in doing that, it's like, okay, well, I don't have to take you up stair steps in this new season. I'm just going to propel you to levels or whatever that you never even thought of. And, you know, I've said before, it's things that's been happening with myself and my family and, you know, different people that we've been able to actually touch the lives of, to where, you know, God isn't just taking it as far as like in stair steps. It's just like he's just propelling us, you know, pretty much with that whole out the box blessing that he's been doing. And he does that because why? Because he always wants us to keep moving forward. He always wants to see that, you know, he's basically right there just saying, look, I'll never leave you or forsake you no matter how big it may seem. Because sometimes we get in our finite mind so we're always trying to grasp on the things that's going on in this new season. But it's just a matter of just going head out with faith. You know, and you've heard it so many times on, you know, this show, you know, on Point Talk with Carlette Christmas. I'm sure you've heard it on the new show, you know, the Sin Law Spiritual Hour that's going on out there. It really and how the main common theme is we've got to just get ourself out of the equation. Okay, really. It's basically, you know, self is basically the whole thing that we're trying to multiply by self, divide by self, add by self, take away by self. But, you know, when you remove self and you can't identify what that part of the equation is, then that's when God just shows up and shows out to help you identify your season. And, you know, those feelings like we have, like I said, that we just need to be doing more. That is a really great indicator of where we are as far as like there should be more in that new season as far as like where God is taking us. And, you know, when you actually are in this place that you need to have more, all right, why is it that a lot of times that we're in this season of where we need to do more, and why does it we have to go and talk it over with individuals? Now, if God actually leads you to say, have a conversation, you know, with a brother or sister, and you know that there's somebody that's going to actually give you the pinpoint and direct instructions from the Lord, okay, that's one thing. But it seems like, well, almost like second nature, just because, say like if you've gotten this marvelous idea about something, and because it's so overwhelming, and I love how it is as far as like, you know, in the Bible with Joseph, you know how Joseph got these great dreams from the Lord, but he went and shared his dreams with someone that were not on his level of thinking or his mindset to think of things that are outside of the box. And then, of course, you know the whole story with his brothers, threw him in the pit. He got sold into slavery, went into Egypt, so on and so forth. Well, a lot of times we may not be getting thrown in the pit as far as like in our when we share things with people, but because how some people downplay what we share with them based upon they can't see what we see. And we know it may cause a slow down portion in our new season instead of an acceleration. So that's why I encourage a lot of us, hey, if it's something that we know that's coming from, you know, God, why not take it back to God? I mean, just the way I'm talking to you, I'm like, God, look, I don't get it. I mean, I know what you're saying, and I know where you're taking me, but I don't get the full understanding of where you're taking me. Could I get something that's actually going to let me know what I need to do? Because what we don't want to do in this new season, where we have this inward feeling that there needs to be more, is we try to do everything in our own strength. Why? Because you're going to have toil that's going to happen. You're going to have all of these connections with people that we're going to try to connect with that God doesn't want us to connect with, you know, being unequally yoked. There are things that are going to actually slow the progression of what he wants to do in our life. So what's going to help you really identify your season? really going to help you see that God is wanting to be right here in the midst with you in your moment. What's going to actually help you just say, hey, wow, okay, this entire time when I thought I was uneasy on the inside, it was God just nudging me, trying to get me in the right direction. What's actually going to be that indicator that's going to just flip the light switch on? It's just going to say, wow, okay, now I know I'm in my new season. What's going to let you know right now how God's truly in this moment with you, in this new season with you, in this realm of changing you to going into the newness of who you need to be in this new season? Stay with us on this, folks. You're in your moment. And when we come back from break, we're going to jump right back into it. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan on this Halfway There Wednesday, and we are talking about identifying your season in this new season, this season of acceleration, this great harvest season, this season of receiving the fullness of what God has in store for each and every one of us. Look, we're definitely talking about new season things that are happening here. We're talking about identifying and how you can actually see how major life events can happen in your life, how, a lack of motivation or I just know something's got to change on the inside of me to identify that a new season is, about to just, take off on the inside of you. I actually want to say that's really about to explode in so many of us, because it's almost like when we are ready, okay, just think of us like a field, okay, when the field has been tilled and it's been prepared and the seeds have been planted, and how when it's ready, time for the harvest to actually spring forth, and how that's when you just get this feeling like there's just something greater, just something more that needs to happen. And one thing that I've realized and one thing that I've seen, and God has allowed that to be made manifest in front of my life, and he's actually brought things back to my own remembrance, is that a lot of the transitioning that myself and my family have had, I thought it was a lot of things in the beginning that it was just either myself or my family as a whole that we were doing to go higher and higher, to getting what God has in store for us. But a lot of it's been because, what we've been able to do to help others. And what I mean by that, sometimes we don't realize that to actually go into a new season, it involves us actually helping another individual or another group or whoever God puts in front of you. God actually brought back to my remembrance that, a lot of things that, we've actually come into was actually helping other people with their vision. Now, I said help other people with their vision. I didn't say get stagnated, or should I say just totally working on their vision and you just totally throw the vision that he gave you to the side. Because if he allows you to actually help someone with their vision, then it's going to help give a clear focus on the vision, or he's going to help you in the process of helping them give you the tools or whatever is necessary to bring you along to make your vision come to pass. And it's funny at how God actually does something. There was this one point in time in a particular season that I was in, and this is going to be a really interesting example, okay? And a lot of you men that are listening really want to probably take note of this, okay? Well, I actually worked for a company, and I was in this particular point in time in my season where I was really, really ministering to a lot of men that were going through different things as far as like in their marriages, okay? A lot of them didn't know what it meant to be a father to the children. They didn't know what it meant to be a husband. And, I've said before that, God had to show me through his word what it meant to actually be a husband, what it actually meant to be a father. Because why? I didn't have what you call those good examples in my life when I was growing up. So he had to really scratch or clear the chalkboard off with me and take me from ground zero to show me exactly what that was. But it was interesting one day when I was at this job, okay? It was at this plant that I was like supervisor over the whole receiving thing, okay? Nothing went in this plant without going through my hands, okay? But then he actually had me to look at one supervisor in one other area, and I'm just driving one day on the forklift, and then all of a sudden I look over there, and he just says, I want you to pay attention to what he does like through the course of the day. And I want you to, I'm like, okay, guys, so what does this mean? I want you to learn. I want you to grow from this. And I'm like, and in my natural mind, what could I actually acquire? What skills could be taught, or what things is God going to show me, through watching this individual? Now, this was my hang up. This was an individual, when I asked God to show me how to be a better father and a better mentor to men that wanted to be better fathers and better husbands, well, he wanted me to watch somebody that, well, was a blatant whoremonger, okay? He was going around telling everything he was doing behind his wife. He was talking about all these different relationships, all of this stuff. But God told me to watch this guy. So, you know, in the beginning, I was just really frustrated. I was just like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to be obedient to you. So I watched this particular person through the course of the day. And just like normal, he'd go through talking about all the bad things that he was doing, trying to share all the dirt and everything that he was doing in life, this and that, okay? And then, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just up there, God, and after watching this guy and hearing him, I was just kind of I felt nasty. I felt dirty just listening to this guy. And then I asked God, well, what was that all about? I'm like, there's no way I would actually do things like that around my wife's back or trying to share stuff like this with men. And then God said, just point out, now you know the things that you need to share with men about what they shouldn't be doing. And it hit me like a load of bricks. You know, even in looking at the filth of what someone else was doing in their own life, God used that as a training moment to actually take me to another level, to another season of what he actually prepared for me. And then it was able to be something that helped so many others. So why am I using that as an example of using different things to actually help you in one season to actually help catapult you to another season, okay? So right now, through this entire On Point Talk family, okay, everything that's going on right now, you know, even the creators of the programming that we've had, the creators of the entire On Point Talk family, you know, they've been able to identify that to get to that next season of where God is taking them, they have to help others in the season right where they are. And, you know, they may not understand exactly everything that's going on. You know, they'll even tell you it's almost like on a day-to-day thing to where they're getting instructions because, you know, they're just saying, okay, once they figured out, hey, you know something? We figured out, let's take a step back. Let's get us out of the whole equation. Let's get this self thing out and let God show us how to do it. So in helping others to get to where God is calling them to be, they've actually in turn received help themselves from God. And so what's happened from that? Now God has begun to expand, you know, the level of programming, creative ideas, new opportunities that are opening up. And, you know, it's just opened up a whole realm of a new season for them. Now, in the beginning, it just seemed like simple instruction to actually possibly help others, but in doing that, it opened up doorways that they didn't even see for themselves. And that's what God's letting you know right now, to help you identify your season. Sometimes to go into that next level, that new season that you need to go into, it's actually going to take you investing in others. And I'm not talking about, you know, in the realm of just finances. It may take finances, okay? But that new season may be, you know, your skills, your talents, the abilities and everything that you have to actually tell that man or woman, you know, that attaboy or that a girl, you know, to actually to let someone know that you can see at how they have that seed of greatness on the inside of them. It's amazing at how, like I say all the time, there's opportunity out there every single day, whether you agree or disagree. But there are individuals out there that walk to and fro, okay, and opportunities right there with this flag, waving it right in their face, maybe trying to go ahead and send them a text message or whatever, but because they don't identify where the source is coming from, I'm talking to you right now in your moment. Because you can't identify the source at where your opportunity is coming from, you tend to disregard it, put it to the wayside. I think that maybe it's not important. You know, the Bible lets us know, don't despise humble beginnings, okay? But guess what? A lot of times if we start in a place to where we think it's a humble beginning, it's just that boot camp. It's just that place where God is actually building us up to where he can take us into greater, take us into more that's with him. But look, when opportunity comes knocking, it doesn't matter if it comes from an individual to where you may be in a three-piece suit. Okay, and I've seen this, unfortunately. It may be in a three-piece suit, and then God just wanting to test you and your humbleness, send someone to you that may be in some ratty-looking tennis shoes, a pair of jeans, and a T-shirt that may have stains on it, and may deliver a message from that particular person to give to you. It may be that one tidbit that you've been asking God about, been praying God about, but because why? Because it came from a source that you didn't think God would actually deliver it from. You just totally disregard it. And you get frustrated about it and say, who is this person? Who is this person to try to come and tell me something just because of, their apparent status? It's almost like, in the Bible with Naaman, okay? When he went to Elisha to go ahead and seek a word to get rid of his leprosy. And because Elisha didn't come out and meet him because he was like the king of the army from the country that he came from, he got mad. He got frustrated just because all he did was send out instruction through his servant of something that he needs to do. How many of us right now, in identifying our season, we're frustrated, we're upset because we're just receiving instruction and it's not coming to us the way we want it to come to us. It's not packaged the way we want it to come to us. We're receiving instruction just because, God is like very simplistic and he's very to the point when it comes to actually taking us to where he wants to take us. But the thing is, what makes it so out of the box is the simplicity of it a lot of times. Because when we put ourselves in it, what ends up happening? We tend to always complicate the situation. And when we complicate the situation, guess what? The roadblocks come, the U-turns happen. To get off at this intersection, we've got to do a redirection and get back where God had us previously to get right back on course. I'm talking to you right now in your moment. I'm letting you know right now why your season seems to be stagnant, why your season seems to not be progressing, why God's just letting you know what it is that's actually holding you back in the season that he already has you in. Stay in the moment on this. Stay in the moment and know that God is actually allowing you to know that he's helping you right now to get that course correction coming. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan on this Halfway There Wednesday. And we've been talking about identifying your season. And on the last portion of the show today, we're going to wrap it up how we've been letting you know about indicators of, what may cause you to see that you are in a new season. But, we're going to wrap up with this last portion about, things that'll actually allow you to embrace your season. So, it's pretty much that, your season can actually give birth to you can have faith your faith will have deeper roots in where, God is actually taking you. I mean, it will actually cause you, as you're going through a season, to just, instead of having this thing of just, if you have a visual, you're sitting at a table and you've got your hands on the side of your head and you're just like up there like, oh my Lord, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening right now. To where you get out of that almost worry to trying to almost get into self-doubt to where you can just say, okay, God, I may not understand everything that's happening, but I see you're progressing me and I'm moving forward. So all I know is that I want to move in that direction with you, not by myself, but move in that direction with you. So look, I've got enough faith and enough track record with you to actually look back and say, okay, you've done this, you've done that, in each area, each facet of the season that you've been taking me into. And so I'm going to trust you in this. And then that's going to, like I said, strengthen your faith so that you can have a deep root in the new season that he has you in. And, it's actually as you do that, you're going to be able to say, okay, I'm just going to go with your flow. I mean, that's pretty much how you've got to put it. Lord, I'm going to just go with your flow. I'm not going to try to throw my plan out there. I'm not going to try to throw my line in the lake to try to fish out and grab, something for myself. I'm just going to go with the flow of the plan that you have. And when it's time, you're going to let me know if there needs to be a course correction. You're going to let me know exactly if I need to just slow down a little bit. You're just going to let me know. Okay. And then, in that new season, you need to realize, okay, when you're going through a new season, you're going to have a time of growth. There's never going to be a time when God's doing anything in your life to where it's just going to be this, I'm just going to coast by and that's just going to be it, okay, when you're going through the flow. Each and every time you go into a new season, and how I told you, God's going to bring you into greater because that's what he wants you to have is greater. Well, guess what? You've got to be prepared to receive that greater. So how do you receive that greater? You have to have growth. I mean, you've got to allow yourself to dig in right where God has you. You've got to actually know, just like weight training, you've got to strengthen yourself spiritually and definitely mentally to receive what he has in store for you. You might say, well, I thought it was more important to be stronger in the spirit. Well, yes, it is. But, you've got to actually be able to receive what God has in store for you mentally, even when he strengthens you in the spirit, because you can't allow that mindset to creep in. Well, I don't see how it's going to happen. As soon as you say, I don't see how it's going to happen, or you start trying to use statements to actually disqualify what God wants to do, it makes the process get longer. okay, you can say, God, I may not understand, but I know that you're able. But don't ever say, I don't see how this is going to happen, because, you've actually limited God and the way he's actually going to bring things to play in your life, okay? And then your season is actually preparing you for what's next, okay? It really is. I mean, like I said, you're getting strengthened up in this. Your faith is increasing in this new season. And then what's coming in, it's preparing you to be able to be equipped to utilize what he's actually giving you. I mean, look. Just like when you're driving a car, okay? You had to go through a training. You just didn't, when you were a teenager, just get in the car and just crank it up, and whoever it was that trained you or showed you how to drive a car, didn't say, here's the keys, just go for it, okay? If they had someone out there to do that, well, I'm pretty sure they got dents in their car. But, God's not going to just throw you out there just to go ahead and be able to, just get in a new mode of transportation, which is your new season that we're talking about, to identify it and just let you go for it on your own. He's going to train you up how to, be equipped to utilize everything that's necessary for you to get in a necessary vehicle to take you to the destination that he's already pre-planned for you in this particular season that he has in. And look, this new season is actually going to be something that's going to surprise you. You might say, what do you mean? We know in Scripture it talks about, I believe in Deuteronomy chapter 28, those blessings that'll overtake you. Well, when you're going through this new season, there are going to be things that are actually going to happen in your life that's really just going to overtake you. These unexpected blessings, these people that are going to come out the woodwork, these unexpected phone calls, these scholarships that you're going to have, these promotions that you're going to have on a job, this strengthening of your relationship, this marriage that you thought that couldn't get any better, that's just going to go to new levels. Whatever it may be, this new season will surprise you. No matter what season that you're in, if you actually have been honest with yourself, it's actually been that you've had surprises along the way. And those have been some really great surprises, all right, to actually take you to, like I said, the newness of where God is taking you and how he's taking you right now in your moment and allowing you to know that, hey, all of this in your new season, all of this that's happening right now is grabbing hold of you right now in this moment to continue to propel you for the plan and purpose that he's always had for you. All right. And look, what I really enjoy is that in a new season, it's like you've got a front row seat to what God's doing. I know we go into the movie theater and, we go in there and a lot of us get into the middle or we get to the top to have a better view. But then you have some of those kids that like to get right in the front, right? Get really close to the screen. And some of us may have done that when we were younger, and it's like you have to lift your head up just as like you're up there like, wow, look at the picture. Look at everything that's going on. I'm right there in the front. And you've got this mindset of expectation for just to have this spectacular experience in life. And that's what it is to have a front row seat, to God's grace and power, to where, even when things feel imperfect, being right there in the midst of him, it makes things all perfect and all right as far as like in that new season. And, when you're that expected from God, when you expect God to do that much in your life, then what? You start getting this scene of coming attractions. Just like in a movie, when you're expecting so much from God in this new season, he gives you these coming attractions, gives you more of a taste of what he's taking you into. Now, he may have given you a snapshot or a small vision in the beginning, but the more you allow him to do things in your life in whatever season that you're in, those coming attractions get, more vivid, they come more into focus, and you have more frequency, all right? And then when you're in your new season, it's not only something to teach you, but it's also something for you to help teach others. It's amazing what I've seen. And I was able to talk to, a brother that's actually moved away, and, we've actually were communicating, and he basically shared with me at how I was through the course of each season that I was going into. When I shared with him what God was doing in my life, it was the motivation that he needed to actually do the things that God was calling him to do in his life. That's why I said we shouldn't lack in sharing, our testimonies at times with certain individuals. Now, like I said, you're not able to share everything that's going on with you in every season that God has with you with every single person, because why? Some people just flat out get mad with you and say, well, why is God moving in your life in such a, dramatic fashion, and it seems like he's not doing anything in my life. God is going to allow you to have a nice discernible spirit to allow you to know who it is that you actually need to be sharing with. But look, when you can actually share what God's doing with you in the season that he has you in, and it's that spark that actually ignites that flame and actually gets that seed of greatness to actually start, flourishing in a particular individual, I tell you, it's a great testimony as far as like what God is doing, not only in your life, but what he's doing in their life. And then your new season may bring, those life-giving memories. And what I mean by that, God will allow you to see that right now where you may have shaky legs about the new season that you're in, you may be not as sure, he'll allow you to have those little snapshots of the past of how he was with you every step of the way. And then based upon how you're able to receive from him, your season right now that you're in, it may even fly by. You may go into it and you may have gone through like longer seasons, but just because of how you've grown through each and every season, and now you're in this season, and you've applied everything from the past to right now where you are, this particular season may just fly by. You may walk into it, you may brace for, okay, maybe I have a long time to go, and it may be a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then guess what? The season's over with, and he's taking you into greater things. But what? You've got to be open to the moment that you're in to allow God to just show you how he wants you to utilize this season. And this season, each and every season is going to be essential in teaching you some new type of life skill and how to what? Embrace change, to be that positive agent of change. But then, first and foremost, what I've realized and what God's saying to me, and right before we go out the door, this new season may actually be the thing that helps you to finally come alive. And realize that you are more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. To realize that you are better than the sum total of your parts. To realize that no matter what picture you may have grafted for yourself in your mind and what you see each and every day when you look in the mirror, and how God says you are even more than that. And how your expectation level right now in this moment is being catapulted and taken even higher. Family, stay in your moment, and know that God is able to take you even higher. And we'll get right back with you on tomorrow when we come back for Thriving Thursday. Take care and God bless.